Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Not Content Podcast. My name is Jerome Cuson. As always, with my co-host Brian, and this month we have 5 Tuesdays, but we are not doing a right match next month, so we are going to be reviewing the 1989 Great American Bash Glory Days, noted as one of the best wrestling pay-per-views of all time, and that is what we will be talking about tonight. Please leave a 4 or 5 star review on Apple and Spotify to get those algorithms going. Please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Click the bell icon for notifications. And Brian, we are, of course, again talking about what is regarded as one of the greatest wrestling pay-per-views of all time. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that at this point because we've had a lot of really amazing wrestling pay-per-views, and AEW has very much raised the bar on quality pay-per-views. And I would even think about some of the WWE pay-per-views from like 2000, 2001 as being pretty remarkable in their own right. But this is definitely a standout show. You've got so much intensity from guys like Ric Flair and Terry Funk. You've got, at this time, two rising stars, a great Muta and Sting. And you have Ricky Steamboat being a real dummy on this show.
A lot of hot angles going into this, basically. Of course, I was born in '88. Of course, I didn't watch this live. I found out about this show later on. Like, I think I went to a Blockbuster, saw the VHS cover, wasn't able to rent it because I was in LA at the time, right? And you can't rent at a Blockbuster in LA if you live in the Valley. You can't just do that because you have to bring it back to the correct Blockbuster. So my mom was like, "We're not coming back here. You can't rent from here." So then later on, I would go and find results online on the internet when I discovered the internet, and I found the Bash results, and I was reading like they had a War Games without the Horsemen, right? And they had like Flair versus Funk, and like Flair's the babyface. What's going on? Luger versus Steamboat, blowing my mind because I didn't watch any '89 at the time because I had no access to like any '89 stuff. A lot of the recordings that my parents started doing was like 90, 91. So that's kind of where my starting point was. So I had to go back and find some of this '89 footage beforehand or like later on and kind of figure out what beforehand was going on in 1990 and discovering that '89 is probably the best year of the WCW prior to the NWO. I'm talking Turner WCW, not Dusty. So '86, you'd probably argue, is the best Dusty year, but that's not part of this. It's '89 and beyond. And '89 is certainly a hell of a year with all these different storylines and Flair turning face. And it all kind of starts really with the end of Wrestle War because that's where Funk does the turn, and then it kind of jump starts this big program into the summer. A lot of weird booking starts happening. Like you'll start noticing like some of the cracks already, considering that we got Steve Williams and the Road Warriors who are feuding with each other at Wrestle War, and then the next pay per view they're on the same team for the War Games. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's the little cracks you start to see kind of go through, and we'll talk about that because there's a weird explanation for that. Because Steve Williams did turn babyface off camera, which is stupid, but only because he was stuck in Japan, and the way they booked it was like, oh, we can't get him back for an angle to book him as a babyface. We'll just say that Kevin Sullivan kicked him out of the Varsity Club, and it was so stupid. But and this is the only time you'll see Scott Steiner and Rick Steiner team together on pay per view, not wearing the matching gear. So
Correct.
that's really interesting. And
It
Scott
is
Steiner's
worth.
wearing
Yeah,
a
that is very
stupid
much worth
yellow.
noting.
Oh, the stupid yellow gear that Scott Steiner wore for like 3 months in this time period. So ugly, but we'll get to that. But overall, love the aesthetic of this show. There's a two-ring aesthetic feel to it. The lighting is a little darker than you would kind of expect for a show like this, but they're learning. It's still NWA Crockett. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not at the level of WWF where a month later you see SummerSlam '89, and obviously the production is much higher, right? But you can't hold it against them. They're working with what they got, considering that Turner didn't want wrestling, and now you got this relationship, kind of like coexisting because Ted Turner wants wrestling. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that one of the most interesting parts of this show to me is that you have an NWA that is clearly faltering now that they're owned by Turner, but there's still a lot of really good stuff, and the fact that Ric Flair is booking, and I mean he's booking himself at the top, but he's also giving himself great opponents like Terry Funk. Like that means a lot. He clearly knows that Sting is worth something. You have great Muta kind of at the beginning of his career, so you just got a lot of really good pieces. And I mean, look, I look at Starcade '89 as like the real turning point. Like that's when things basically WCW goes into a haze for like 5 years until Eric Bischoff and brings in Hogan, and that really starts to turn things around and change the company. And then even then, it's not really until the NWO that things really take off for those 2 or 3 years. WCW's history is so marred with bad booking, awful management, incompetent corporate ownership. I mean, that is their story, and it is always unfortunate when you think about WCW because you have a show like this that is so great, and there are a lot of good pieces there. I don't know if Great Muta was ever going to be like a long term solution for WCW in terms of like would he be around throughout the '90s? Was he not going to wrestle in Japan? Probably not, but you have this guy who's just so incredibly valuable and he does such a great job on this show. Lex Luger's a guy, man. I mean, what a weird career, right? Like he starts off white hot. He comes in through the Florida territory. He's wrestling Ric Flair in 1986. He's a member of the Four Horsemen. He's basically the forever United States champion at this time. And it's like once he wins that WCW title, it's like he's never the same in the ring. Like he was certainly very over in '96, '97, but he was never the same worker. Like where are the classic Lex Luger matches after 1991? They basically don't exist. Like again, even in '96, '97, like he was very over, but he wasn't having great matches at all. And I think that's really fascinating. I mean, this is one of the better Luger matches, not of course, because he is with Ricky Steamboat, but a little too much chicanery, I think, for this to be like I can understand, in 1989, given some of the WrestleManias that had taken place, and even some of the awful NWA shows like Starcade '87, for example, and the January '88 show that was really really bad. So I mean, pay per view is very nascent at this point, and absolutely this is the best pay per view of the '80s, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely some things that don't hold up, but then I mean, you've got the main event that absolutely does hold up, and is an all-time classic. And the only reason that I don't think it gets as much credit as it does is that Funk and Flair really topped themselves a few months later at the Clash of Champions.
Yeah, and it's really weird because the whole blading thing, I always get confused with it because are we WCW not blading? Why are we allowing blading? Are we going to allow blading on some pay-per-views? And that's why we remember like some war games having blood, some other war games not having blood, like this war game's not having blood, yet Flair and Funk are just going into business for themselves in the main event bleeding. So, you know what I mean? It's like very much testing the waters of like, what can they get away with while also playing by the rules? And that's what always WCW like kind of held them back in terms of like whenever they booked this big cage matches like the Doomsday cage match, right? With Hogan and Randy Savage. When I was a kid, I was expecting blood. Of course, we didn't get blood because it's that era. But I don't know if a Flair could get away with it, but he could probably bleed and get away with it. But you know what I mean? It's like certain people can get away with it. So that's what kind of affected the main event, where I felt like it got elevated with the blood. But then the I Quit match didn't have the blood, so it was kind of like, you wanted more. You know what I mean? It was like, how can you have this consistency with the bleeding, like go out the window? You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is because that's just the way WCW was, and I think it was more of the Turner thing influencing that, which is why Dusty Rhodes got fired initially from the booking gig
I mean,
because he
Maryland,
bladed.
right? Maryland has a weird commission. I know New York has a weird commission too when it
That's
comes
right
to blood.
too. That's right. I forgot about that. We got the Luger thing, right,
I
from the
don't
year
know,
prior.
man. Like it's a really
It's
strange. I mean,
weird. Yeah, because
I
this is
mean,
the same building that Luger got cut, and then they stopped the match, and then a year later
well,
we got Flair and Funk
I
bleeding.
think the NWA was. I mean, I think they were messing around with Baltimore. I think they were just like throwing a hissy fit, and they like overdid it. I mean, that's like who knows? Like we're never gonna full have the full answer, but like I think for me the thing about war games is like unless you have a white hot program, you should not be doing war games. And I think that the issue always was that WCW and NWA always felt like they had this obligation to like do it every year. Once they did it with the Four Horsemen, when they didn't really have to. Like it made sense at certain points, but when you feel this obligation, like we have to do it in 1993, like there's a white hot programs in '93. You didn't have to do it then. Um, so yeah, I think it's really tough. And like the problem now with war games is that it's totally been ruined because they have weapons, which is really stupid. And I like people used to not get hurt in war games matches, and I'm excluding like the Brian Pillman example because like that was clearly an accident. But like these guys are getting hurt now because they're like going through tables with the cage and all that stuff. And I mean, it's really stupid. Like unless you're going to do a war games match and have with blood, I don't think there's any value to it beyond that because I think you end up like I think this is a very good war games match despite there not being blood, but that's because if you put the Road Warriors in a situation where they just have to do their stuff, like if you have Road Warrior Hawk coming in the ring, like he's gonna do a double clothesline and it's gonna be great. It's gonna get a great reaction. That's exactly what he does here. Um, and like you can hide some of the lesser workers and obviously Bobby Eaton was going to start this match because he's the best worker of the five by a wide margin. And yeah, I still think it's a good war games match, but I don't think it's nearly as good as like 87 or 92. But yeah, I think that to me that like oddly enough I think that one of the better worked matches was actually the tuxedo match.
Let's go in order actually, because I think we're kind of going out of order here. But the tuxedo match, I really want to bring up because, well, it's the injury to the knee, right? That he actually brings up in the promo. It just to me, it's like, man, Jim Cornette is playing with fire every time he goes into the ring. It does a bump at this point, isn't he? Like, I mean, as a kid, when you see the bump, you don't think of anything of it, right? When you saw the Starcade bump, but in real life, the dude like completely destroyed his leg almost. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Yeah, I mean,
to me,
I don't think his leg was ever the same after that.
I would never, ever, ever go in the ring again and do a sting like that. And yet he went and did a match with Garvin on the house show route, in the cage match thing. Like, unbelievable, this guy. Like, I know we kind of shit on him for his modern day opinions and stuff, but I listened to
It's justified.
the guest the program stuff. But
He's a terrible person, but I mean, he has a commitment to the business that not many people do, and the commitment to the business is both a good thing and a bad thing. I think it has served him very well in some cases as a performer and as a manager, whether he's a heel or a babyface. I mean, I don't know. Like, here's the difference: is Bobby Heenan a better manager than Jim Cornette? Probably. Could Bobby Heenan have pulled off being a babyface like Jim Cornette did? I don't think so. I don't think Bobby Heenan
I don't think
ever could
so
have pulled it
either.
off.
Yeah, it's just the way that he
It
drew
wouldn't
out the
happen.
emotion and the whole like storyline of like you're stealing our gimmick. And I guess the idea that the whole Midnight Express versus Old Midnight Express, where it kind of originally started with this Paul Heyman thing, that's where it kind of got started. And like I guess the crowd really got behind him because I guess they just lost the title to the Road Warriors, who were being bullies at the time, right? And they just lost the U.S. titles because they had to get rid of it.
Cornette also wore a white suit and did a 5 alarm blade job. That also helps.
That was another thing too. That was big, right before like the warning, before Dusty broke the warning, like literally like a month before, I think. So yeah, that was a
Yeah.
really hot feud. And then what happened was, I think Connery left again, and then they lost the other guy, and then they had to just come up with another team, and then they brought in the Samoans to kind of fill that gap. So now it's Samoans versus the Midnight Express. So that's kind of your feud there, and then it ties in with the Freebirds and the Road Warriors, and that's how you get
Yeah,
your war game. So
the tag team scene
it's
was
weird
very
that the
funny.
tag scene was like the dominant war game storyline. It's usually like faction warfare, but like it's
Yeah,
this time it was a bunch of teams coming together because like they really just hated each other and they really set that up well. We'll get to that, but let's start with the battle royal because I was just looking this up before we recorded. So this is the two-ring battle royal, King of the Hill. The gimmick is these are the winners of the battle royals prior to on the Bash tour, and this is like the finals. So I looked it up,
a
and
giant
Sting,
LOL.
yeah, Sting won majority of them. Rick Steiner won was like the second place, probably majority of them, and then the Skyscrapers won a couple toward the end of the Bash. So meaning that like none of these people really deserve to be in this battle royal. It was just another battle royal copied from the house show. It was not a final anything, but still a fun watch. You know what I'm saying? It's like I love the
I
concept
mean,
of a two-ring
it's
battle royal
fine.
anyway.
I mean, battle royals are generally just kind of there for me. I'm not against
I'm,
them.
I'm
I'm
more
not sick of
preference
them.
for the two-ring rule because you get that extension and you got to get that one-on-one at the end. But that's just me.
Also, want to point out that Sid and Dan Spivey they split. They both won their respective rings, and I have to point out Theodore Arlon, the best decision he ever made shaving his head because his hair is quite a sight.
Yeah, he didn't officially shave it all off yet. I think that was the match with
I mean, it
Paul
would take a
Ellering.
long time. Like it literally took like
But it
five
was
or six.
getting there, and like if you watch him when he was turning as the as what was it, that clash where he just went the 1 2 3 on the Road Warriors, like his hair was like ugh, because he had nothing to cover it up with, and he was in the ref suit. But and then he started putting on the bandanas and stuff with Doom and stuff. But yeah, his hair is legendarily bad, but luckily it starts covering up here.
Yeah, I mean, a real shock that one of the evil managers in the NWA was black. And again, I have to point out that the first two people eliminated from this battle were black too. So, not racist at all. Not racist at
Yeah, yeah, and I was bringing that up. Ranger Ross, ain't no way that dude is winning a house show battle royal to get to the finals of this shit, and he didn't even win one of them. So you know what I mean? It's like whatever. It's cool to see Ron Simmons before his big push with Doom because like I felt like he was like kind of like middling at this time, right? Like because he was on that clash with Eddie Gilbert against the Fantastics. I don't know if you remember that, but that was on accident because they weren't supposed to be on that show. You know that, right? That was supposed to be the
yeah,
Bushwhackers. That alleged thing where they had to say like the Bushwhackers left. We're going to reverse that decision that we just had him win on the tournament, whatever. And then he was just middling. And luckily became Doom after that. I think the mask and him teaming with Butch Reed was like really key. But yeah, this is fun to watch because it's just like, you know, there's some fun spots with Pillman and Vicious having that brief interaction.
the
And then,
skyscrapers are quite over, as we will
yeah,
discuss more in a couple minutes.
yeah. And then we go to Brian Pillman versus Bill Irwin. And the only reason you need to see this match is because like Brian Pillman does this awesome move, which he probably never does again. Which I think Rey Mysterio copied actually, jumping from one ring to the other, but like from the top rope of the other ring. Very dangerous. Like it
Yeah,
is really dangerous, and luckily
uh,
Bill Irwin caught him. But
for
man,
sure.
it's rarely done nowadays, even in AEW, because you're risking a lot, basically because of the angle you're jumping off of. It's
Yes.
not like going in the same direction; it's like the opposite direction. It's crazy, and Pillman barely hit it, so that was fun. And what this is Pillman's first big pay per view, right? I think,
Yeah,
as
I
I
mean, by
recall.
October, he's wrestling Luger for the U.S. title. Bill Watts is the worst thing that ever happened to Brian Pillman because it really feels like in '92 he's got the guaranteed salary. It feels like he's going to get a real push, and then he doesn't. And it's like, and Bill Watts jobs him out, and then Bischoff comes in. You know, he does the tag team thing. I mean, the guy probably should have been a main eventer, but it felt like when he was still a babyface in '95 before the Horsemen, he was still having the same kinds of matches with Johnny B. Bad that he was having with Bill Irwin here. So it kind of stinks. I think that Pillman's career is a tremendous what if because of course he goes to WWF, he does the loose cannon gimmick, he gets in the accident, and he's really never the same. Like he has it takes him over a year to come back, and he is clearly not in a position to have any sort of a great match, and it just sucks. Like his career is one of the great ones. This match is fine. Like it's a great showcase for Pillman, and in a world where WCW is competent, this is the kind of match that you look back at and you would say, like, this was the start of something special. But again, it's just like, well, he's a what if.
Yeah, and especially the ending made it seem like he was going to get this gigantic like superstar push because of the way the match ended. So it's
Again,
unfortunate.
he's wrestling Lex Luger for the U.S. title at
I
Halloween
know,
Havoc '89. Like, I mean,
and they're going like toe to toe, and like you would, I don't know. That's
it's
another
a
what if
great
too. Because
match. It is a
yeah,
really great match, and it
yeah,
just like that. Like in a lot of ways, that was his peak.
it sucks for WCW at least until like the tag run, but then it gets cut short really quick. So next we got the skyscrapers against the dynamic dudes. This is really interesting because we know that Sid is super over already in the month or two that he's with the skyscrapers, and the whole time is like the crowd's chanting, "We want Sid," and Dan Spivey like picks up on it, right? You notice that, so he purposely doesn't tag Sid until the end. Did you notice that? Like,
I
and it's
did.
almost like a 2-on-1. I don't know.
It's amazing to me that like I feel like Johnny Ace is clearly a piece of shit. We have documentation to show that. But I feel bad for this version of Johnny Ace and Shane Douglas because this was such a loser gimmick. It's like, okay, we don't have the Rock and Roll Express anymore, so we're gonna have the Dynamic Dudes. Just an awful name, an awful concept, and like Johnny Ace as a white knee babyface is a really bad idea. I mean, they were pretty much set up to fail, and I feel bad for them. I mean, Sid is so over at this point. Like it's ridiculous. I mean, he's just and he plays to it the whole time too. Like he's no dummy. Like he knows that if he's this over, like it's going to mean something down the line, and it's going to get him a whole lot of money. And again, Sid is in many ways somebody who perhaps knew his limitations, and he is somebody who kind of was very up and down. Dan Spivey, a guy who's injured all the time, and it just sucks that I mean, he's clearly tall, had a lot of potential. I love the Waylon Mercy gimmick, but injuries were always going to prevent, and a drug problem too. Can never underestimate what a drug problem does. But yeah, the skyscrapers are crazy over, and it really feels like if Spivey doesn't get hurt, like maybe they get a tag run, or Sid being so over, hard to deny him his flowers, so to speak. And we're going to be talking about Sid's overness later on this year too.
Kind of a similar situation with the crowd as well, because the dynamic dudes, even with the hot tag, get a hot tag booed, and that tells you a lot.
Have you ever watched the match with the Midnight Express where Jim Cornette turns on the
Oh
dudes?
yeah, at the Clash, they keep acting like baby faces despite the crowd booing the shit out of them. It's very John Cena-esque
Jim
without the
Cornette
like.
turning on the dynamic dudes to a thunderous ovation is one
Yeah,
of the funniest things I've ever.
it's crazy, man. Yeah, that's one of the best Cornette shots with the racket because it's so loud in that
Oh, it's an
building
all
when it
timer.
pops.
Oh yeah, that I mean that's one of
Yeah.
his best. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
everyone knew the turn was coming. They were just waiting for it and waiting for it because they knew that he's no way going to stick with the dynamic dudes. And I want to point out the dynamic dudes on the next pay per view get the tag title shot. So what is what are we doing here in Philly where they get booed again? So
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like
it's
they
bad.
tried so
And then,
hard.
yeah, they got booed really bad at Havoc too. I mean, the problem is they're running these Northeast cities that are not going to be rooting for these white knee baby faces. Like maybe if they're running like Asheville, North Carolina, like maybe they have a chance, but not in Baltimore, not in Philadelphia,
Yeah,
not.
and then as I recall too, at the last pay per view, they beat the SWAT team, the Samoans, but like in the most bullshit kind of way, as I recall. Um, I don't remember them beating
Again,
like
they're
clean.
trying to recreate the Rock
So
and Roll Express, and they're not as good as the Rock. Like Shane
yeah,
Douglas is not Ricky Morton.
it's not good.
It's
And
not
then
good.
what sucks is like it feels like they're going for that Bart Simpson kind of like vibe with the skateboard, but Bart Simpson doesn't debut until the end of '89, so it's like they missed the boat.
Well, I mean, in terms of like the Simpsons were on the air in the shorts, but they were not.
But
I think
yeah
skateboard culture was definitely a thing around this time. I mean, that's where Jason Lee was before he was
yeah,
acting.
but I think
So
Bart
they
was like, "Hey man, like the spokesman at the end of
well,
1990." So
here's
they
the
missed the
thing.
boat by a year.
It's great that they have skateboards, but they never ride them. So they can't.
Oh,
They
that
can't
was
ride
the
a
other
skateboard.
problem. They just carried him around. I forgot about that. They didn't know
It's
how to ride
stupid.
skateboards. Oh my god. So yeah, that was a fun watch. But now we go to the Jim Cornette Paulie Dangerously match where we mentioned the promo beforehand where Dangerously brings up the fact that we know that poor Cornette has a messed up leg. Knee, it's probably more than his knee, I think, because the way he fell was just like I don't know, terrifying. But it's I don't know. They're going to work around it because he's a manager, so they can get away with it. And this part of the match bothered you for the rest of the night, right? The powder.
Cornette throws
Um,
powder, and they never cleaned it out of the ring.
they
It's
didn't
like,
clean it
what are we
up,
doing?
man.
Like it's a great shot. Like him using the powder is great. Like it rules, but fucking clean it up after the match, guys. Come on. Like I understand keeping it during the
Yeah,
match,
that's
like
where the
not
difference is. I think
stopping, but
WWF would have cleaned it up. I think knowing that because
yeah,
I think they're
they
very like
would. And they
they would
should.
have, and yeah,
Like
but
it's
they weren't like
dangerous.
aware of it. They weren't aware of it, and they just ignored it, and it absorbed into the mat for the rest of the, which annoyed me. But yeah, it's a fun watch. It's a tuxedo match with managers. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't expect like I guess
I mean, the
what
thing is
another
that
example? Duggan and DiBiase. I'm looking at the DiBiase pop in front of me right now. But
Cornette is smart enough to know how to work a match like this, and that's why it's not terrible. Like it's 6 minutes. I think if it goes even 8 minutes, it's probably too long. But 6 minutes, 22 seconds, that is the perfect length for this match. And dangerously, I mean, he's a character. He knows what he's doing in terms of like being a character. So that's why I think it comes off well. And, manager versus manager matches can be very dicey, but I think this one works because, I mean, these two also legitimately, I think they hated each other even back in 1989. So that also helps. And yeah, this is
and
it's a
yeah,
fun one.
like we said, it started in like November or October of the year prior. So that's a big
Yeah, I
build
mean,
up
it
for him
starts
too.
with the return of the new original Midnight Express. Not Bart Gunn and Bob Holly, the worst version, the worst Midnight Express of all time. But yeah, this was great. Or I should say not great, but very
A fun watch.
surprisingly good.
Yes. Now it's a Texas Tornado match. The Steiner brothers versus the Varsity Club. Kevin Sullivan and Mark Rotunda.
It's too short to really mean anything, but boy, oh boy, did they job out the Varsity
God,
Club here.
this is the end of the Varsity Club, right? Because I think they break them up after this pretty much. And like Kevin Sullivan kind
I
of
mean, for
goes
all
away a little
intents and
bit,
purposes, yeah.
comes back at the end of the year. Mike Rotunda goes solo, ends up becoming what?
Michael Wall
Michael Wall
Street.
Street. Yeah, so
Yeah,
there's a
he
there's
does
a
that
journey
gimmick
for
until
him.
he goes to become IRS, and
Yeah,
then
which
yeah.
is not too dissimilar from Michael Wall Street to be honest. But yeah, this match is really fun, and Scott Steiner in the yellow trunks. God bless him on that one. That was a decision, man, because I think he was going for the
There
Hogan
is
look, but it didn't work.
I think the thing that I appreciate is this is like, okay, the Steiners are here and they're going to be stars. That is what they're saying in this match, and I think they deliver on that promise. It's not great, but it showcases the Steiners in a way to get them over, and you can see them very quickly becoming World Tag Team Champions, and I think they are World Tag Team Champions very soon after.
And they just debuted as a tag team like a month prior too. So like, and if you've seen that Clash match, like the original match was, or this like a rematch from the Clash, and that Clash match had this epic spot where like I don't know, someone it was either Kevin Sullivan threw like Steiner on the table or something like that, and it literally scraped his skin off his back, and it was oh my god, like if this was HD, it would have been disgusting, but because it was like TV in the '80s, like you couldn't see the detail, but God, it was like you could tell something was wrong with his back, and if you look at the footage, man, oh my God, it's brutal. Like Steiner took it and like he finished the match, so I think that added to his credibility. But man, he toughened up that night and he
I
fucking
don't think
finished that match.
people understand that Scott Steiner was a prodigy, and with the steroids and all that stuff, like I think he became kind of a parody of himself. I mean, people I think associate him with Steiner math and stuff like that, but I mean, he was really good. Like he was basically a Kurt Angle before Kurt Angle. Like that's how good he was from the start of his career. And by the time he actually got the big singles push, he was not a great wrestler because of all the steroids.
Right, but he was able to do a 450, I think, at this time. If you ever found that footage, folks, it's fucking crazy. It's like some I don't know independent show in the '80s, and there's a 450 on the dude.
He also did it. He also had a move called the screwdriver, which he stopped doing. But I mean, oh my god, I can't believe nobody died.
Yeah, and the most memorable one for me is the one I think on a WWF jobber, and he's like, "This one's for you, Randy," and then he does it, and he points at Randy. He's like, "Thank you, brother." It was like, wow, he dedicated this neck
Yeah,
injury on this jobber to Randy Savage. But yeah, this is a fun match. There's no rules. I mean, I think there's no tags, but I think there are DQs or something. But it's a fun match to watch, and it's like a quick brawl. It doesn't end with a Frankensteiner because I don't think they had a Frankensteiner at this point. I think they were
no,
just doing clotheslines and suplexes, so that was cool. Sting and Muta, man, this is a legendary match on its own for a lot of reasons. You would think that people hate the finish, but it actually worked in both their favors. I think, like it made them even stronger. And
I
the
mean, what
entrances were
I
epic.
don't know. I would. The only reason I would disagree is I think the fact that they run out after the main event and they're kind of being associated with the main event is probably what helped them. So, and you could attribute that to okay, not only are these two guys going to fight for the TV title, but they're also going to be involved with Terry Funk and Ric Flair, and I think that also means probably more than the. I think the finish on its own probably comes off as very hokey, but the fact that there is a strong follow up for both of them is what makes a huge difference. And yeah, I mean, Great Muta's again. Speaking of prodigies, like Great Muta was amazing from the start, and literally invented. Like he did multiple things that had never been done in the United States before. He brought new meaning to the mist, and just the way he moves is amazing. It's funny when you see Muta in like 2000 when he's wrestling Sting, how different he is in terms of like being able to work compared to Sting. It's very depressing to know that just 10 years later his knees are pretty much shot, and he would continue to wrestle for a very long time after that, and it's pretty wild to think about. But this is a great match. It doesn't even go 9 minutes, and this is like this would steal the show on a lot of pay-per-views.
Yeah, it's just nonstop from the get go because Sting immediately jumps from one ring to the other because Muta's doing the thing with like, come to my ring, you know, the heel thing to do, right? Come to my ring over here, and then Sting's like, fuck this, and he just runs and jumps over both ropes. Unbelievable spot to start the match, and then it kind of feels like kind of Muta kind of knows everything that Sting's about to do, right? And he's kind of countering him, and the audience is like, oh no, this guy can really beat Sting clean, right? That's the vibe you're getting. And then Sting has the comeback and then the double pin. Excuse me. But the double pin, you know, obviously you got to protect both guys. Sting as a TV champion is nice, but obviously, if you know the legacy of a TV champion, Sting doesn't really fit that bill, right? Like you got to put it on the more technical guy that's going to work with a bunch of different guys. Sting's kind of limited at this point, so you kind of have to take the belt off him kind of quickly, because he just won it like a couple months ago, and you know what I mean. Like if he's the U.S. champion, you could put it on him longer, but the TV title is kind of like a different kind of title. So transitioning into Muta, that makes a lot of sense, and he had a lot of good TV title defenses. I think he had Scott Hall, Scott Steiner, Eddie Gilbert, like a list of guys that were like really good TV title defenses for Muta. So that was a good decision. And I love Eddie.
It is amazing that what these guys were able to do. I think in the time that they had, and I mean, like the weird thing is, why did it take like Muta doesn't win the title until September 3rd? It's really strange.
I think they wanted to build up to that tag match, right? The big tag match that was supposed to be in
I
September. That
guess, but like,
out.
why?
That
Like,
was
it's
my
so
thinking.
weird.
That's always my thinking. Like that gap in August has always been kind of weird to me because like they didn't really do much on TV other than just kind of build up the tag match. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just kind of weird that they took a while to do it. And that match that we've seen on TV that's from September, whatever, that doesn't even like complete the thing. Like that doesn't even give Muta the title. I think Muta wins the title like off TV or something. So which is even crazier. But yeah, this match is just something else, and I love Eddie Gilbert because Eddie Gilbert, if you look like kind of like at the history of Sting, and they kind of mentioned it when at that Eddie Gilbert memorial they did for AEW, like he's a big part of Sting's history. Like he helped raise Sting in the business, right?
Yeah.
So him
No. Yeah.
being
I
there
mean,
on the
that's
outside,
yeah.
like that's a big part of the storyline, and him getting the crowd going even more, I think, really helps this match because you know that he's really rooting for Sting, and that there's a really close fall towards the end where he's jumping up and down thinking the match is over and like he's running around the ring and the crowd's like and then you know it's just a great moment. It's a great moment of shock because like the match is not over and it keeps going and he's in shock and then the double pin happens. So great moment for Eddie Gilbert. I think like despite you know I think like very similarly to Gilbert, I think we have a very similar mindset in terms of wrestling booking based on what I've seen of his interviews and like the
Mhm.
documentaries and the dark side of the ring. So I really respect his thinking. And like I can kind of see how he protected Sting in this kind of situation because I bet it was his idea to do a double pin, to be honest. Like that's my thinking going into this. Like this feels like an Eddie Gilbert kind of booking towards the end, knowing that you got this big angle at the end of the show too to tie it in. So I think it feels like, you know, his kind of thinking. So
Yeah.
really, really credit to him. And if you ever want to look up some stuff of his, like he's got some really great booking like philosophies and how he learned how to book a show on the whole. And he's got long term
He
thinking.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, his
very much so.
demons. He's got a ego problem and again a drug problem. Like that's the
And he
reality
doesn't
of
want to
this
work as a
situation.
team. Like it's clear that like when they put him on the booking committee, he had all these great ideas, but he just didn't want to work with people. And I understand that because his mentality of being the old school booker is like you're the one and only decision. So that's why he
Yeah.
had a lot of conflict with Flair and
Yeah.
Cornette. So yeah.
All right, Lex Luger and Ricky Steamboat. So this was supposed to be no disqualification. Lex Luger's like, I'm not having it, and he basically makes Steamboat make it so that there are disqualifications. So you know a bullshit finish is coming, and Lex Luger brings the chair into the ring. Uh, Luger hits himself in the head, and Steamboat, instead of smartly following up, he uses the chair. I think this is a terrible finish because number one, it makes Steamboat look like a complete moron. Like Luger hit himself in the head with the chair. Like win the damn title. Like the best way to get revenge is to just win the title. Like there is no reason for Steamboat to actually use the chair. Like Luger doesn't do anything to him. He does it to himself. So I really hate this finish with a fiery passion. Like the match was really good until then because Ricky Steamboat is in it and Ricky Steamboat just has great matches. But the finish really soured me on this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think they really needed that no DQ stip to stick because of what happened at that clash where he gets hit by the chair from Luger. That's where that whole chair comes into play. That's where it comes from.
Right.
And him getting his revenge is like, oh, he's going to get his revenge by hitting with the chair. And then they switched it up live on the pay per view. And then as a fan, you're thinking, like, obviously, yeah, the bullshit finish is coming, but like, do we want to see him win the title or do you want to see him hit him with the chair? And I think that's where the booking kind of split off there. So we got to see him hit them with the chair and not win the title. It makes more sense for him to win the title, but at the same time, he's leaving after this, right? Like, so it's kind of hard. Like, I wonder if you put him on the
I
spot
mean,
saying,
to
"I'm
me,
leaving
if
after
he's
this,"
leaving, then he should
just
lose
lose.
clean.
Yeah,
He should lose clean.
but then I think Steamboat being Steamboat, or if you've heard the situation where maybe his wife came into play and said, like, you should lose clean. You're Ricky
Boy, yeah, I
Steamboat.
mean, she really fucked his career over.
I mean, if
In
that is true, it
so
wouldn't
many ways.
surprise me considering the things we have heard, right? Like they did put his kid on the show, right? They did bring him out at the beginning, the little dragon, right? Or am I or was
Yeah,
that the other pay per view?
he's been on like we've seen the Little
Yeah,
Dragon during the
yeah,
Flair series. I think more so.
right. And in this case, I think he just came out with the Komodo dragon, but still, like they're playing with that family idea. And I got to admit, Luger cut the best promo, in my opinion, of his career, like weeks prior to this on Saturday night, where he just interrupted Jim Ross and grabbed the mic and just said, like, I'm tired of it. You know what I mean? I deserve more respect or whatever. Like, you know what promo I'm talking about? Where, like, he just completely turns heel
No,
and is like,
I'm not. I haven't seen as much WCW and WATV, especially as
okay, because I went on a binge, when they had the network or the Peacock network or whatever, the cock. And I found this
RIP.
promo, and it just made absolutely everything like made sense in terms of like the '89 character after that, because like he was sick of it. He was tired of being the Shadow of Flair. He was tired of being like second to Sting, even though he was the U.S. champion. You know what I'm saying? Like he felt like he was getting overshadowed, and that's where that kind of like arrogant character comes from, which they really, really
I mean,
talk
I think
about
that's good.
Halloween
I
Havoc. Yeah.
think that I mean this is probably the strongest iteration of the Luger character because again, when he was the world champion and had Harley Race as his manager, like the party was pretty much over. I didn't realize that Ricky Steamboat was married 5 fucking times. Holy shit.
You got to think about that comment about Jesse Ventura making that comment about all his girlfriends at the building, dude.
I guess I do. Yeah, I
Dude,
did not.
he does some inside baseball, dude. I'm telling you, dude.
So he
I
and Bret
think he's.
Hart had the. So he and
I
Bret
think
Hart,
him and Bret Hart are a very similar type of dude. Is what I'm saying.
they are stickmen of the highest order. Is what you're telling me.
Great technically, in bed and in the ring, I guess. So
All right, War Games. Of course, they didn't even bother to go through the pretext of having the coin toss, which is funny. I mean, the
okay,
heels have
so
to win, right?
I thought I saw it because I know in the VHS version when I was a kid, they had to cut a lot out, right? And they just kind of cut to the beginning of the match. So when I remember watching the like I just watched it the other day, but the coin toss I thought I did see, but I guess not. I don't know. Unless they did it like off camera and just
I have
assume.
to say, so when Ring of Honor did their cage thing with CZW, that's the one time the quote unquote baby faces won. But Danielson turned on Samoa Joe, and that was a great use of the quote unquote faces winning the coin toss. But otherwise, the
Yeah,
faces could
it's been
never.
ripped off by AEW, and I think NXT did it when I was still watching the NXT version of it or whatever. And then it ends up being like, oh, someone's gonna turn. That's usually the clue, right? Someone's gonna
Yeah,
turn, but WCW never thought of it first, so you know what I mean. Except the
uh,
Kurt Hennig was like at the end, so that didn't really mess with the odds.
yeah, that
But
doesn't really count. I mean, I have some very strong feelings about some of those NWA ones, but I
oh
think
yeah,
this was. I mean, the baby faces most of the time should win more games, and if they don't, then there needs to be a really, really good reason. And the baby faces did win here. Again, the Road Warriors being in the War Games is a great use because all they have to do is punch and kick. They don't have to do anything special, and I think it really works out for them. I think in a way it kind of limits the Midnight Express because they're actually good workers, and they were the like this match actually doesn't play to their strengths, but I mean having Eaton go the whole way it makes a lot of sense. And Michael Hayes, he's there with Jimmy Garvin. This iteration of the Freebirds never particularly impressed me, especially once Gordy leaves.
See, the thing is, like, as a kid, this was me. This is the only version of the Freebirds I knew up until like the documentaries I saw about like the Von Erichsen stuff, dude. Like, I just knew the Freebirds as Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes, man. So learning about the other history of the Freebirds was eye opening to me as a teenager. But yeah, I much prefer the trio. But this version ain't so bad. I think their promos are actually like antagonizing to the point where it gets under the skin of a Southern audience. So that in terms of that, I think it works out. And when you go to these northern like places, they're gonna get booed the shit out of. So it works. So like especially even at Halloween Havoc when the dynamic dudes were also getting booed, like they were getting booed as well. So it was a weird kind of feeling there. But later on, I think it would kind of change because I think by '92 they kind of became respected heels to the point where they were getting cheered everywhere. So at this point right here, they were kind of getting cheered or booed just for the fact that they were the nasty heels. Gordy just came back. And here's the weird thing I wanted to point out. Like at Wrestle War, the Varsity Club cheated the Road Warriors or whatever it was, and they stripped them of the tag titles and that leads to the tournament. And in the
Yeah,
tournament, the Freebirds beat the Road Warriors by interference from the Samoans. You got that connection there. And then the Freebirds beat the Midnight Express. You got that connection there. So everyone's interfering with everybody, but somehow Steve Williams gets stuck in the middle, right? And you're wondering if he's like getting kicked out and feuding with Kevin Sullivan, how does he end up in the War Games here? So they say that, oh, he's got this like all Japanese feud with Terry Gordy that's still going on that he started out and now it's continuing here. So that was kind of lame. You know what I mean? Like really, really lame. And even in the promo, like he's doing like, I'm doing some bird catching. And then they do this thing where it's like LOD face off with Steve Williams. And they're like, hold on, gentlemen. I know we just faced off, but we got bigger fish to fry or whatever. And I'm like, bro, you still ain't finished that feud, man. So,
Steve Williams
you know
is
what I mean?
also a really terrible promo, and it's the idea that WWF was going to bring him in to wrestle Steve Austin was fucking hilarious to me. Not only because Williams was cooked by that point, but I mean, he can't talk. He literally cannot speak.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And it's kind of weird that people wanted him to be the one to beat Flair for the title in '87 and then, have that Starcade rematch.
What a
Because I've
terrible
heard that
idea.
scenario. Well, the idea is that if you put Cornette with him, then you might have something, right?
I mean,
But it still would, in short term, I don't think it would have been the same
I
result. I
mean,
think in terms of
it's
money.
it's
So
bad. Like it's bad, man. Like it can't do it. Like I'm sorry, you just.
I guess it works. His promos work in Mid South to a point. You know what I'm saying? Because like if he's doing the tough guy gimmick and it's short, kind of a promo, but if he's teaming with like a Ted DiBiase, yeah, he's getting carried for sure because he was a great tag team with Ted DiBiase. So it's just weird that he's paired with the Road Warriors here after all the shit they went through for like months.
Yes.
And then the Marietta Massacre happens on TV, which is a great angle if you've never seen it. Basically, the Road Warriors challenged the Samoan SWAT team to a cage match. The Samoans no show. The Freebirds fill in the spot. Some shenanigans happen. Paul Ellering ends up outside the cage getting beat up by the Samoans while the Road Warriors are stuck inside, and Hawk gets beat up really bad, and Paul Ellering gets beat up really bad. Midnight Express don't show up in time, or I don't even think they show up at all. And then they do the famous line, "This is Samoan funeral," and they put the Samoan flag or whatever it was over Paul Ellering. That every time gets me laughing. But it's such a great sell job by Jim Ross to like put this big angle over for the War Games, and that was the big angle, and it paid off because Hawk gets his revenge. He does a move that I don't think anyone's ever used again, called the Hangman move, which is I think is an actual move, but seems very dangerous to use in real life because it seems like you got like nothing to like support yourself other than holding your hands on the
I
dude's
mean, you
hands
saw how
holding your neck.
quickly Tommy Young got in the ring and called for that submission. So yeah,
Because
you're
I
not
think
wrong.
Garvin was like, "Get me the fuck out of this now," because it's probably like in serious pain in real life. Because
Especially
like,
because it's Road Warrior Hawk
and it's
and
Hawk carrying
more
your neck.
dangerous
Oh my
too.
god.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, Hangman Page has never taken this move. I thought he would have beat this with Moxley, but he did it with the chain. But it's just one of a kind of move that only a guy like Hawk can pull off because you
Yep.
really got to muscle a guy up, and it looks like you're literally choking the dude to death. And it worked out for this occasion. And then because it's because they have to continue the Bash tour, they got all these rematches coming up. They had to set up another angle at the end to make it go even further.
Road Warrior
Um,
Animal gets beaten up.
Yeah, and
It's
it
fine.
kind of leads. Yeah, it kind of leads to that finale against the Samoans at that Clash, which is a really fun match. If no one's checked that out, that's a fun match that opens up that clash with the Flair Sting tag with Muta. Um, yeah, that was a good finale to the feud. This is a good kind of like chapter in the feud. Obviously, no blood. Crowd's really into it, and I enjoyed this match a lot as a kid, and I still
Yeah,
enjoy
it's
it now.
good. It's a good War Games. And then we have Ric Flair and Terry Funk. This is a match where basically people are concerned that Ric Flair is going to die and that his career might be over. Boy, oh boy, it would take another 19 years for that to happen.
Not only
Um,
that, dude, how many pile drivers did he take in this match?
a lot actually.
I know, dude, and you're thinking like, even if wrestling is a work, right? At max, you want to take one pile driver in a match. At most, ever, right? Maybe within a week. Flair takes 4 or 5 in a match, and you're thinking like, this guy has got to be hurting in real life. Like he's got to be like, you know what I mean? Like your neck can't take that for so long, even though it's a fucking
I
work
mean,
pile
he
driver.
was never like the thing is like he wasn't injured. Like he never missed time until like he had the busted eardrum in WWF. Like I know he had the shoulder thing in like '97 in WCW, but like otherwise the man was never fucking injured. Like it's the strangest fucking thing, and
Well, if you go by
he
the theory
never
that
missed shots.
he sold his soul to the devil in that plane crash, which is my
I mean,
theory,
certainly
which
possible,
would
but
explain him dying in the middle of his last match. So, like
what a great.
literally,
I mean, this match is great, and Terry Funk
yeah.
is great, and like thing is, Terry Funk doesn't have like a conventional move set, so you never know what you're going to get with Terry Funk, and part of what makes him great is the fact that he can do so many different things in terms of like the technical wrestling, the brawling, the madness, the insanity. Flair is the perfect person to play off of because he can match a lot of that, and yeah, this is just a really great match. And again, the I Quit match is I would say it's much better, but this definitely stands on its own. The finish is a little wonky. I mean, clearly they're setting up for rematches and for the big rematch, so it's not perfect. But I mean, this is a very good main event and a very good title match.
Yeah, and it sets up this hot angle at the end where Muta comes out. Oh, we got to mention Gary Hart. So Gary Hart is the mystery man behind Terry Funk in the
Yep.
ring. Like I guess he was
Yeah, he
promoting a
is.
mystery manager, and it's obvious that it's Gary Hart. Right? Like, it was really obvious that it was Gary Hart, right? So you were kind of thinking like, how's this going to tie in with Muta? And then Muta comes out and starts beating up on Flair. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. So they're going to do a tag team, and then you're thinking like, no way, Sting coming. Like as a fan, like Sting's not going to come out and help Flair, right? Like that's the big thing. And then he comes out and helps Flair, and the crowd just loses it because like, oh my God, Sting and Flair, Sting and Flair. And then that was the big thing, right? The Sting and Flair teaming up for like the next 6 months on house shows or the pay per views and the
I
clashes.
mean, Sting was even briefly a member of the Horsemen,
Yeah,
and
which
that would
which
go
obviously they
away.
had an end game. Like they knew, like okay, we're gonna tag them up against these
And
two,
they rushed the
and they're gonna
ending,
break
and
them
they
up, and then
fucking ruined it.
they're gonna drop the title to Sting, and then it kind of got messed up after that, and then RoboCop
And
happened.
they rushed the turn, and then Sting got hurt, and then it was Luger again, and just yeah. I mean, again, this is when Luger was the forever U.S. champion because a year later he's still the U.S. champion. So it's
So I did some research too. Like if he wasn't gonna be facing Flair at Wrestle War, he was gonna face Steve Williams, but because they changed the card, Steve Williams
oof.
just left. Like
I
I'm not
mean,
getting the title shot. I'm gone. So he just left. So imagine
hilarious.
that card: Steve Williams and Lex Luger and Sting and Flair on Wrestle War '90.
That's
So that was
wild.
the original plan.
So
Yeah.
I also have to say I love Ric Flair as a babyface because he is so calm on the mic, and then he's a fucking maniac in the ring, and it's great. And I know that Flair, like people love the heel shtick. I mean, Ric Flair is a babyface. Arguably, his best year is 1989, and he's wrestling that as mostly a babyface. So I don't totally buy that argument.
I'm still kind of split, man. I love him either
I
way.
mean,
I
he
can
is a
see
great
your
heel.
arguments.
Like he is a great heel.
And I do
I'm
love
not going
that
to
Vader
deny it.
match. I love that Vader match. You know what I'm saying? And I love him as a heel. Like I think him in the Mr. Perfect match on Raw is really underrated. So yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
look, he's
that
a great. I mean,
both
he's a
sides
great
of
wrestler.
Flair.
A
You get
terrible
both sides of
person,
Flair,
no
but
doubt, but
yeah, 89
just
Flair's
an
where it's at, folks.
abominable human being. But
Yeah. 89 Flair's where it's at, folks, and this is like a prime example of it. So, and
an all
overall,
time, an all timer.
this shows like a 9.5 out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10 on a really good day for me. You know what I mean? Like everything is just banger after banger, but the storylines are just what it is. I think it really adds to it. and especially the promos, and then the big angle at the end, seeing Sting and Flair come together was like a really big moment, and because it was a big moment for like the history and lore of NWA WCW. So
Yep, absolutely. All right, Brian. Next week we are going to begin Greek month, and how are we starting again?
Disney's Hercules, and I wanted to start off with a good kind of fun opening. Nothing too serious quite yet. We're going to do animation, and then we're going to lead to Jason and the Argonauts the next week, and then, of course, the actual TV special of the Odyssey the next week, and end it with the return in the last week of the month. So it's going to be a fun ride. It's going to start a little cartoonish, end a little too serious, but we'll probably give maybe a bonus review of the Odyssey because we're both in line to see that opening weekend. Like I don't have my tickets yet. I didn't buy them a year in advance, but I'm definitely gonna. I'm
Yes. Yeah.
definitely gonna try to check it out opening
I
weekend,
mean, here,
especially. Yeah,
if the Odyssey was being done by any other director, I don't know. I'm skeptical, but it's Christopher Nolan, so of course I'm going to see it opening weekend because you have the Christopher
and
Nolan
he
factor.
already showed us we're getting the monsters, and if we're getting the monsters, we're getting the full package. So that's all I got to
Yeah.
say because the full package of the Odyssey is like monsters, crazy gods, and all that kind of shit. So it's gonna be fun.
So I also have to point out that we are going to be doing YouTube exclusives because X-Men '97 season 2 comes out at the beginning of July, and then at the end of July, Batman Caped Crusader starts its second season. So we are going to be basically doing one or two episodes of YouTube exclusives a week, talking about the X-Men and Batman Caped Crusader. So we're going to be really busy the next couple months.
It's going to be a catch up for me because discontinued my Disney Plus a couple months ago. Uh, Not for personal reasons, just kind of like I'm being selective. But now I got to play really catch up because I still got to watch season 2 of Daredevil and the Punisher special and do all that stuff before Spider-Man comes
You
out.
really don't have to watch the Punisher special. I promise you that.
Oh man!
It's
Spoiler alert. Is it bloody? Is it bloody?
bad. Ooh, it's
Is it
bad.
bloody? Is it bloody?
Yeah, it's bloody, but it's bad.
Okay, I'll take the blood. I'll take the blood.
Oh, it's so
He already
bad.
had his emotional. He had his emotional storylines on Netflix. Let the dude have some some
Oh,
fun.
wait. I'm not gonna say it. Yeah, just wait. Just
Oh
wait.
no, did they retcon? Oh, they retcon. They
No, they
retcon.
didn't. No, I mean, anyway. All right.
Anyway, all
For
righty.
Brian, I'm Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you again next week.